occasions of verbal altercations with various coworkers. Despite the arguments, Harry was never officially disciplined for his work, and bosses even defended his work. It seems Harry was a good worker, but had issues with interacting with others. Recently at work, new policies were introduced, and it is believed that one such policy change severely irritated Harry. The policy change ended cash payouts for unused vacation time. Weeks before the shooting, in April of 2021, Harry took to the radio communication system that is used by the light rail operators, airing his personal grievances for all to hear. Harry wasn't a complete stranger to the criminal justice system, though it doesn't appear that he has many serious charges. In 1983, he was arrested for obstruction for resisting a peace officer, which is a misdemeanor. On August 8, 2016, he was detained by U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, or CBP, after traveling to the Philippines for a secondary inspection. He had been in the Philippines for 2 full weeks alone, and when he returned, his property was searched, and within his property, books about terrorism were discovered, along with a notebook where Harry had written all about his hatred for the VTA, as well as a list of goals for the trip that included trying not to have sex, go walking, go hiking, and, quote, to die there. The CBP asked Harry if he was experiencing issues or anger towards people at the VTA, but Harry said no, he wasn't. A Department of Homeland Security official stated that Harry was also detained because of apparent red flags regarding sex tourism. Nothing of value was found regarding the sex tourism, and the detainment did not end with an arrest or even additional follow-up. The lack of follow-up is concerning, because the CBP reported that it appeared that the agents were more concerned about questioning Harry about sex tourism rather than the disconcerting books and writing. The agents examined Harry's phone and made a note that he had been sending text messages back and forth with a woman from the Philippines, and many of the messages made references to, quote, sex-friendly hotels. When questioned, Harry was intentionally vague, responding with one-word responses. He claimed not to know any women there and had no plans to meet any, despite the obvious messages and condoms and Viagra in his suitcase. Although, also within his belongings was a prescription bottle of medication for anxiety, specifically clonazepam, in Harry's name. There were various papers of printouts of Angeles City, and local bars were circled on the map, and a how-to guide about how to locate prostitutes and erotic stores. A hotel he stayed at was known for untoward sex encounters. When asked why he had all of these items, he claimed that it was just to read, though on his list of to-do items, there was a note that said, quote, show immigration fake hotel bookings. He clearly was trying to hide where he went and what he did. Lastly, the agents found many photos of young girls in bikinis on Harry's phone. There were other pictures that were pornographic in nature, although there were no children involved. After this interrogation, which lasted about 2 hours, Harry's electronics were returned, and he was sent on his way with no additional action taken. It seems that Harry had two sides, much like Jekyll and Hyde. When he was happy, he was in a great mood and pleasant to be around, but when he was mad, he was infuriated.
He was assisting us with opening gates and other stuff and such, and that's basically it. And but I knew him for about 2 years, and to be honest with you, was really pleasant, always mellow, nice, assisted us with everything we needed. I was actually shocked when I found out it was him. I had no idea.
Harry had great trouble letting things go, and tended to dwell on the bad. In 2009, he dated a woman that accused him of sexual assault and indicated that he experienced serious mood swings and abused alcohol. Neighbors reported him to be quiet and a little stranger, a loner if you will. He didn't speak to others and came off as slightly rude and disrespectful.
I talked to him only 5 times, living here 5 years, and he never say hi much. Every time I say hi, and he looking at me, stare looking, dirty looking all the time. So I ignore him every time I see him.
He didn't interact with others and never had visitors to his home. Harry had zero social media presence and was nearly a social recluse. In 2009, Harry filed for a domestic violence restraining order against an ex-girlfriend. He claimed harassment, and the ex immediately filed a response, claiming he sexually assaulted her. Their relationship ended on Valentine's Day in 2009, when the ex refused to engage in sexual acts, to which Harry ended up forcing her into it. Harry liked to book and pay for trips for the couple, but only if she gave him sex. She alleged that Harry would hold her down and force himself upon her. There were many instances of the rapes, and each time Harry apologized profusely, promising never to do it again. Finally, she claimed that he had stolen tools from various employers, both past and present. On one occasion, a neighbor was backing out of his driveway when Harry suddenly approached and yelled at the man to stay away. He never interacted with Harry again. Apparently, there were at least 2 people at the VTA that Harry dreamed of harming. It's unknown who, and why, and whether they were in fact killed.
He's not afraid of people. I'm afraid of him because he looks scared. He never say hi. My wife is scared of him too, so after that, I ignore him every time I see him.
Harry's ex-wife claimed that he came home each night ranting and raving about his job. His family claims that Harry seemed lost to them for months leading up to the shooting, and his sister says that Harry often seemed tense and almost paranoid. He went to his parents' home the Monday before the shooting to take his car in for a smog test, and when he picked the car up, his dad said Harry appeared fine and nothing was amiss. This was about 36 hours leading up to the shooting. His younger sister believes something happened at work on Tuesday that angered him enough to make him snap. She further claimed that Harry really struggled with stress management and had very few, if any, coping skills. He blew many things out of proportion. He constantly complained that his coworkers were getting easier assignments at work than him, and was clearly angry about something he believed happened at work. In August of 2021, an employee from the rail yard that witnessed the shooting committed suicide. Because of the intense investigation, many light rail trains were replaced with buses. What happened? What made him snap? This shooting was obviously planned, yet it is completely inexplicable as to why. Could this horrible tragedy have been prevented? Signs were there, but was it enough? We all have the unique ability to help prevent such a catastrophic event from happening if we keep our eyes and ears open and never hesitate to report when something or someone just doesn't seem right. It is our sincerest wish that there will be no more active or mass shooting stories to tell. We pray that love will prevail over hate.
Too many have died! We should say to ourselves, not one more!
In the meantime, we urge our listeners to stay aware of your surroundings and keep in touch with your loved ones. If you see something, say something. You never know how many lives you'll be saving. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Active Shooter, the podcast. Remember, if you see something, say something. There's no telling how many lives you may be saving. A huge thank you to Darren Curtis, who composed some of the music used in this episode. Check him out at darrencurtismusic.com. DARRENCURTIS music.com.
Active shooter, reports of an active shooter,
Mass casualty incidents.
Make sure to check us out on social media. We have a discussion group on Facebook. Just search for Active Shooter, the podcast discussion group. You can also find us on Instagram at Active the Podcast and Twitter at Podcast Active. For just $1 a month, you can get access to ad-free episodes, early release episodes when available, and a shout-out on the show. Just go to patreon.com/Active the Podcast. Thank you, and be safe.
Are you a fan of true crime, cults, conspiracies, and all things sinister? Then tune in with me, your host Steph, every week for a new episode of the Sinister Story Hour. You can find the Sinister Story Hour on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.